Guys, let me tell you, today's episode is a banger. Complete 8,000 likes under 24 hours. Write banger in the comments, and let's start this banger episode. This episode starts from the same place where the last episode ended. Everyone is in a lot of tension because of the kidnapping of Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess. Now, everyone is sitting on Elka's back, heading in the same direction where Scarum took Iona. On Elka's back are Oren, Zareth, and Theo. Elka is genuinely panicking, and Theo asks Zareth if she knows where Scarum has gone with Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess. Zareth says that she knows. She panics and tells Theo that according to her, they must have gone to Rotten Root Village. There is a fat, ugly pig there who works under Grid, and Scarum had made a contract with him 2 days ago. Zareth did not know what the contract was, but now she is sure that it was to kidnap Iona and the princess. Theo gets suspicious and asks Zareth how she knows all this in such detail. Zareth gets startled because for a moment, she forgot that she is an undercover cop. She had to hide her identity and act as a beginner wandering merchant, but because of Iona's kidnapping, she momentarily forgot her cover. Now she has to act carefully. Zareth thinks about how she had to catch Scarum red-handed while doing illegal work, so she followed every step of Scarum to the Rotten Village Inn. There, she saw Scarum making a contract with a subordinate of Grid, but she did not know what the contract was. She had only followed Scarum to the Rotten Village Inn, and now Scarum is in trouble. Zareth does not know what to say to Theo. Theo is a little innocent, and Zareth gives an awkward smile. She cannot lie because Theo is not an idiot. She cannot make excuses and trap Theo in her lie. Seeing Zareth's awkward smile, Theo asks if Zareth wants to work with Grid, and if that is why she is trying to contact Scarum, so that through Scarum she can meet Grid and work under him. Theo warns her that Grid is currently the biggest merchant, but he is a bad person who does bad things and lives with bad people. He tells Zareth not to work with Grid. If Zareth has no work, then she can work with Theo. Theo offers to make Zareth his subordinate if she wants. Zareth gets more startled after hearing this. To correct this misunderstanding, she joins her hands, gives a normal smile, and explains to Theo that it is not what Theo is thinking. First of all, Zareth thanks Theo. After saying thanks, she says that she is very happy to hear that Theo cares for her and is ready to make her his subordinate. But Zareth was following Scarum because she wanted to take revenge. In the beginning, Scarum scammed Zareth very badly, and it was Theo who saved her from Scarum's scam. From that day, Zareth decided to take revenge on Scarum, so Zareth kept all the information about Scarum so that she could take revenge. And that is why she knows all this information. Theo agrees, and Zareth is glad that the story she just made up has worked. While running at full speed, Elka finally reaches the merchant passage on the 38th floor. She is running so fast that she is still panting. The passage is genuinely huge and is built inside the mountain, something seen in previous episodes. The whole passage is full. Zareth says again that a colleague of hers is going to come to this passage. This person is of very high status, and he is a friend of Zareth. He has said that he will help to catch the kidnapper of Iona. Theo asks if the high-status person is in the corp, but Zareth says that he has a connection with the corp, but is not in the corp. She assures that when they meet him, they will understand who he is. Zareth knows her colleague is in the corp, but she cannot reveal this to Theo. Otherwise, Theo will get suspicious. They are going to meet Zareth's colleague. At the same time, another problem arises. In the same passage, Hegel is also sleeping. While walking, Theo and his friends come in front of Hegel. Theo excitedly calls out to Hegel, telling him they have reached. Hegel slowly opens his eyes, having no idea about the kidnapping of Iona. Hegel asks Theo if his day went well and if Theo sent all the corpse, but Theo says nothing. Hegel asks again if there is a problem, but no one answers. Finally, Hegel notices that Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess are missing. On the other hand, Zareth's condition is getting worse. Hegel knows that Zareth is in the police corps. If Hegel tells everyone, Zareth can get into trouble again. The moment Hegel sees Zareth, he immediately recognizes her. Zareth is a commissioner, the commissioner chief. What is she doing here? Hegel is about to call Zareth the president of the association, but at the same time, Zareth starts moving her head left and right, signaling Hegel to stay quiet. The next moment, Hegel changes the direction of his speech. Instead, he says that Zareth is the daughter of the president's uncles, brothers, sisters, friends' daughters, and asks Zareth how the president is. Zareth greets Hegel and plays along, saying she is here to help Theo. Hegel immediately understands that he has to pretend that Zareth is just a normal newbie wandering merchant. Zareth tells Hegel that she has come here on a secret mission, and because of this, he must act as if he is a beginner wandering merchant. Hegel understands and agrees. The next moment, Theo becomes curious and asks Hegel whether he and Zareth already know each other. Hegel feels a little nervous, but he does not let it show on his face. Laughing, he casually tells Theo that there is nothing like that, because Zareth is just a beginner wandering merchant. Hegel has seen her many times on the way, selling goods to people. In fact, Zareth had tried to sell him different types of goods countless times, which is how they ended up meeting so often. Well, this explanation seems logical to Theo, and he nods in agreement, but Hegel quickly changes the conversation and takes on a serious tone. He tells everyone, especially Theo, that he does not have time for all this idle talk. He demands to know why he cannot see Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess. Why is everyone in panic mode? And what exactly are they doing here together? A heavy silence fills the air, and then, finally, Theo speaks. He looks a little startled as he tells Hegel that he is not able to see Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess because both of them have been kidnapped. Hearing the word kidnap, Hegel is stunned. His mind refuses to accept it. How could Iona be kidnapped? His expression shocked. He asks Theo again in disbelief, was this some kind of sick joke? Hegel simply cannot believe that someone as powerful as Iona could be kidnapped. But before he can say anything else, Zareth interjects and confirms the truth. Iona has been kidnapped. In fact, Zareth herself witnessed the entire kidnapping with her own eyes. Though to be precise, she didn't see everything from the very beginning. If she had, she would have at least tried to help Iona. But when Iona was being taken, Zareth saw Skyrim with her. However, at that time, she did not take any action because she had no idea what kind of device or method Skyrim had used to capture such a powerful wizard. If Zareth had blindly rushed in to save Iona without any weapon, there was a very high chance that she would have also been kidnapped. And if Zareth had been taken, then Theo and the others would never have known what happened to Iona. Theo understands this and agrees. Then, Theo speaks up, telling Hegel that according to Zareth, the kidnappers have likely gone to the Inn of the Rotten Village to meet a pig named Tariq. And if they want to save Iona, they must go to Rotten Village as soon as possible. Theo then looks at Hegel with determination and asks, will he help them travel to Rotten Village and save Iona? Hearing this, Hegel's face twists in anger. He is absolutely furious and pissed off. Iona was his comrade, and the thought that some scumbag dared to kidnap her fills him with rage. With a cold, deadly tone, Hegel declares that he will not go alone. He will bring all his strongest comrades. Whoever kidnapped Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess, he will not spare them. But after that, Theo asks Hegel a question. Hegel is a mercenary. And after that, Theo turns around and asks Elka, who is also a mercenary, the same question. Grid genuinely controls almost all the mercenaries. So will they have any problem because of this incident? Elka tells them that there is not just one Grid in this tower that runs the Mercenary Association. Grid is, in fact, very big. But like Grid, there are many other mercenary groups, though they are not as big as Grid. Elka used to work for Grid, but he did it out of helplessness, because the food of the tower is almost completely controlled by Grid. And the situation in Elka's village was so dire that if he did not work for Grid, he would not get food. That is why he used to work for Grid. And because Theo Jun solved Elka's food problem, now Elka does not care what happens to Grid. In fact, Elka wants Grid to be destroyed. He wants Grid to be punished badly. After that, Hegel also agrees. He does not care what happens to Grid either, because he used to work personally for Iona. He has written his name in the Mercenary Guild, but he has no connection with Grid. He has no connection with Grid. In fact, now he is so angry that Grid has kidnapped Iona. Now he wants Grid to be destroyed. After that, Theo asks, what about the Wizard Association? Does Grid control the Wizard Association? Hegel then says that gradually, Grid has infiltrated every corner of the tower. There are many subordinates of Grid within the Wizard Association. So at this moment, they cannot even ask for help from the Wizard Association. If they go to the Wizard Association, the higher-ups there will take action, but by then, it will be too late. Now, if they want to save Iona, everyone here will have to work together. If they delay even a little, waiting for other people to come, then they won't even know where they took Iona, where they killed Iona, and where they threw her body. So they must act fast. They must make a plan immediately. Hearing this, Theo genuinely gets very frustrated. He grabs his head and starts screaming loudly. He shouts that he does not understand how to save Iona. This scene is seen from behind by Zeref, and upon seeing this, Zeref feels something strange inside, a feeling of jealousy. When did Theo get so close to Iona that he's this desperate to save her? Well, maybe Zeref does not even realize that the feeling she is experiencing right now is jealousy, and yet she still feels it. Why does she feel bad that Theo is so upset about Iona? Because Zeref never liked Theo from the beginning, but now Zeref does not have time to focus on all these feelings. Zeref turns to Theo and says that maybe she has a plan to save Iona. While saying this, a deep sadness is still visible on Zeref's face. And then, Zeref tells Theo that whatever happens next, he cannot question her actions. Whatever she says, he must listen. He must not ask any questions. If Theo follows every instruction, then he will definitely be able to save Iona from here. Well, after that, the scene shifts, and we finally arrive at the slum area of Passage Village. This whole area is genuinely very shady, as it feels like a haven for thieves, with a lot of shady people roaming around, and even a hooligan dog scolding a small puppy nearby. This whole area is disgustingly filthy, and that's exactly why its name is Rotten Village. In one of the dark alleys of the village, we see Scarum standing with Iona on his back, and beside him, Marlene, the bitch, is standing with the princess on her back. But both of them have covered Iona and the princess with a cloth. They walk forward and come to a house, knocking on the door as they wait, and after hearing the knock, a huge green orc emerges from inside and stares at them for a moment before asking for the password. Scarum replies that he will give the password later, but for now, he has come because he has completed the commission that was given to him, and now he needs to talk to Mr. Tariq. Hearing this, the orc asks another weird question, saying, "What about Bug?" which is a secret code, and whoever answers it correctly is allowed to enter. Hearing this code, Scarum feels a little nervous, but he steadies himself and replies, "I like rotten roots." As soon as he says this, the door opens with a loud thud, and even though Scarum is still a little on edge, he enters the inn, where we see that the green orc is massively muscular, 3 times the size of Scarum. As Scarum steps inside, the room is filled with various beasts, with a lot of foxes and a lot of pigs, and all of them are filled with deceit and disgust. Slowly, Marlene and Scarum start making their way upstairs, while below them a group is sitting together, a pig, a fox, and an ugly-looking crocodile. And as the crocodile glances at Marlene, he turns his head to the side and gives her a strange smile, which makes Marlene feel uncomfortable for a moment. Finally, the scene shifts, and Scarum and Marlene have arrived before Mr. Tariq, who is sitting on his chair, holding a cigar in his hand, and as he turns around, he asks Scarum in a warm but menacing tone what he is doing here, before then asking if Scarum has failed the mission, and if he has come just to tell him that, then he should leave immediately, because Mr. Tariq is not used to hearing news of failure, and if Scarum brings him bad news, he will kill him, and he will throw Scarum's body in a place so deep that no one in this tower will ever find it. Hearing this, Scarum smirks, and then, with a grinning expression, he removes the cloth from his back, while at the same time Marlene also removes the cloth from her back, and both of them have wicked smiles on their faces. Scarum proudly declares that as soon as Mr. Tariq gave the contract, he completed it, and he has successfully kidnapped Iona and the Red Ribbon Princess. As soon as Mr. Tariq lays his eyes on the Red Ribbon Princess, his lips curl into a big, sinister smile, and he can't believe it that someone has actually brought the Red Ribbon Princess alive before him. And in fact, just looking at the Red Ribbon Princess makes Mr. Tariq happy, but when his gaze shifts to Iona, he becomes even more surprised. After that, Scarum explains that, as soon as Mr. Tariq ordered him, he used the dragon seal, and the moment he activated it, a weird white barrier nullified Iona's magic, and the moment her magic was nullified, he captured the Red Ribbon Princess as well, and the moment he captured her, they immediately brought them both here. Looking at this, Tariq is very happy and slowly walks towards Scarum and Marlene. Scarum thanks both of them for their hard work, and he admits that he never imagined someone as weak and useless as Scarum would succeed in accomplishing something that professional smugglers had failed to do for years. Genuinely, he is very shocked. After that, Mr. Tariq shifts his attention to Iona, and after glancing at her, he finally turns his gaze to the Red Ribbon Princess. Mr. Tariq still has a smile on his face, But the same cannot be said about the red ribbon princess. She makes a disgusted expression, her face clearly showing her disdain. Mr. Tariq asks the red ribbon princess how she is doing. His eyes scan her entire body from top to bottom, and he remarks that the princess has grown very well. He recalls that the last time he saw her, she was just a small baby, but now she has grown into a full-fledged princess. Hearing this comment, the princess genuinely feels very awkward. After that, Mr. Tariq finally shifts his focus toward Iona, but unlike the red ribbon princess, Iona is furious. Mr. Tariq asks Iona how the president of the Wizard Association is feeling, standing right in front of her. Iona glares at him, her anger boiling over, and without hesitation, she lets him know exactly how she feels. But Iona is beyond pissed off. She is furious. Mr. Tariq smirks, about to call Iona ugly, fat, and a scumbag, but before he can say another word, he finally drops his act and shows his true colors. Without warning, Mr. Tariq lifts his leg and kicks Iona. The impact sends her crashing to the ground, but he doesn't stop there. Mr. Tariq kicks Iona again and again. He kicks her more than 20 times. For a while, Mr. Tariq simply listens, saying nothing because he knows Iona was once a powerful wizard. But what Iona has yet to realize is that she is completely trapped inside a magic barrier. She cannot use her magic. Right now, she is nothing but a weak little hamster, and she needs to learn her place. After mercilessly kicking Iona for nearly 2 minutes, meanwhile, Marlene, the bitch, watches in amusement, enjoying every second of Iona getting beaten up. And honestly, I feel like giving her at least 2 tight slaps on her ass right now. Back to the story. Even Mr. Tariq starts sweating, but as he catches his breath, he laughs and admits that after kicking Iona so many times, he feels a lot of relief. His stress is completely gone. The pent-up frustration of so many days had been weighing on him, and he just had to take it out on Iona at least once. Let's see what happens next. A kangaroo maid enters the room bringing a white towel. Meanwhile, the grid is shivering, wiping her face, but the princess is filled with tension, her hands trembling as she looks at Iona lying unconscious on the ground. Iona is not moving. She is not saying anything. The princess is panicking. She keeps calling out to her master, Iona, but there is no response. The princess is on the verge of tears, her heart sinking with dread, and she feels horrible. And in the background, Scarum watches the entire scene unfold and enjoys every second of it. Oh. Finally, Tariq brings all his attention to Scarum and once again tells him that when Scarum first came to him, he claimed that he had seen the princess of the Red Ribbon Kingdom and that he could kidnap her. But Tariq never truly believed that Scarum would pull off such a task so flawlessly. Scarum gives an excited smile, and Tariq smirks, saying that the work Scarum has done will surely impress Grid. Scarum, filled with excitement, asks Tariq if he will be able to meet Grid once he returns, and if Mr. Tariq will formally introduce him to Grid. But Tariq simply says that he will think about it and inform him later. Without further discussion, Mr. Tariq calls his subordinate and orders that the 2 guests should be taken out with love, and once they are removed, they should be paid in tower coins. Soon after, a wolf arrives to escort Scarum and Marlene out of the premises, and while Marlene seems thrilled, clutching the tower coins in her hands, Scarum is clearly dissatisfied. He had one goal, to meet Grid at least once because he was certain that if he could establish a connection, he would be able to take on more shady work and make even more money. As Scarum is about to mention something important, the subordinate of Grid ignores him completely and forcibly pushes him out, cutting off any further conversation. The scene shifts back to Mr. Tariq, who now has an evil smirk on his face as he looks down at Iona, mockingly asking her how she is feeling now. Did she enjoy the pain she just received? With a twisted smile, Mr. Tariq recalls the past, saying that when the Red Ribbon Kingdom was destroyed, he was beaten and scolded by Grid, because Grid blamed him for failing to properly watch over the princess, which allowed her to escape. However, after taking his frustration out on Iona today, he feels completely relieved. Finally, Mr. Tariq puts on his fake warm smile and sits down in front of the princess, formally introducing himself in a sickeningly polite tone, stating that his name is Tariq, and he is from the Chow Wandering Merchant Group. He continues, saying that Grid has been searching for the princess for a long time, and that Mr. Tariq himself cares deeply about her and wants to reunite her with Grid. His disgusting grin remains plastered on his face as he declares that he will escort the princess back to Grid's kingdom. However, the red ribbon princess's face twists in disgust and she scoffs, saying that she has no desire to return to that shitty place, even going as far as to call Grid a disgusting pig and insulting Mr. Tariq directly by calling him a fat, disgusting pig as well. This was the exact same insult Iona was about to say earlier, but before she could, Tariq had beaten her mercilessly. However, this time, the red ribbon princess dares to say it out loud because she knows one thing for certain. Mr. Tariq cannot harm her. Her anger reaches its peak, and she begins shouting at Mr. Tariq, declaring that she is not a child anymore and that she knows the truth. She reveals that it was Grid who destroyed her entire empire. It was Grid who murdered her mother and father. Hearing this, Mr. Tariq's smirk remains unchanged, and he slowly turns toward Iona, chuckling as he says that Iona must have cast some kind of magic spell on the princess, causing her memory to be altered, filling her mind with false stories. He tells the princess that none of it is true. He claims that the incident with the red locusts was nothing but an accident, and that the real reason her parents died was because of Iona. According to Mr. Tariq, that night, Iona failed to properly maintain the barrier, and because of that, a crack formed, allowing the red locusts to enter and slaughter the princess's parents. With a warm yet deceitful smile, Mr. Tariq insists that Grid is a kind and honorable man, someone respected throughout the entire tower. He says that in the princess's absence, Grid has taken care of the kingdom perfectly, maintaining order and stability across the entire floor. Hearing this, Iona snaps, calling out Tariq's lies. She says that while it doesn't matter if the princess believes his fake stories or not, the entire tower already knows the truth, that Grid is nothing but an ugly, disgusting, fat pig, and that there is no one in this world as vile as him. There is no point in spreading falsehoods. She shouts again, declaring that Mr. Tariq and Grid have been working together and have already devised a sinister plan. But Iona will never let it succeed. She reveals that the red locust population has been steadily declining, and that their color has begun shifting from red to blue, meaning that soon, all red locusts in the tower will be wiped out. And once all the red locusts are eliminated, Grid's power will crumble as well. Hearing this, Mr. Tariq suddenly bursts into laughter, placing his hand over his face, calling Iona a fool. Did she really believe that they would just sit back and do nothing while the red locusts disappeared? At that moment, a fox, one of Grid's subordinates, enters the room, rushing over to Mr. Tariq and informing him that the color of the red locusts has already begun changing back to red. Mr. Tariq is thrilled by this news, but Iona is in complete disbelief. She had just received reports that the red locust population had drastically declined, causing their color to turn blue, and there was no logical way they could have suddenly repopulated and returned to their original red color so quickly. With a wicked smile, Mr. Tariq rises from his seat. He declares that there is no longer any reason to hide the truth. At that moment, Grid himself gives a sinister grin, turning to Iona and revealing that they have been secretly breeding red locusts, ensuring that their numbers are multiplying exponentially, and with their help, they will one day control the entire tower. Grid boasts that nearly every destroyed tower is under his control, and that he has been diverting more than half of the tower's food supply to feed the red locusts, allowing them to multiply at an unnatural rate. In fact, he reveals that they recently tricked the inhabitants of the 55th floor, feeding all of their food to the red locusts, which caused them to reproduce at an even faster rate. Not only have they restored their numbers, but they are stronger than before. And soon the red locusts will evolve again, changing from red to purple, becoming even more powerful than ever. Grid's plan is unfolding perfectly. Mr. Tariq then turns toward the princess, smiling as he calmly states that everything is going as planned. Now, there is no escape. The princess will be taken back to Grid's kingdom, and once there, she will have no choice but to marry Grid. And once the marriage is official, Grid will gain complete control over the entire tower. However, if the princess refuses to comply, then Grid will slaughter Iona so brutally and dispose of her body in such a way that no one in the tower will ever find her remains. Mr. Tariq turns to Iona and coldly tells her that he initially thought of sparing her, but his plans have changed. A wicked smile spreads across his face, and the two fox subordinates behind him glare at Iona, declaring that she is a massive threat to them. If Iona manages to escape from here, they will be in serious trouble, so they decide that they will kill Iona right here, right now. After eliminating her, they will take full control of the Wizard Association. Right now, there is a lot of conflict brewing inside the Wizard Association, but Iona is the only obstacle standing in their way. As soon as Tariq finishes speaking, one of the foxes, drool dripping from its mouth, slowly approaches Iona, licking its lips as it grins wickedly, declaring that before killing Iona, it will savor every part of her. Then after he is done having his fun, he will enjoy devouring her completely. The disgusting fox leans in closer, its filthy breath reeking, but before it can lay a single finger on Iona, a massive explosion erupts from outside. The filthy fox recoils in shock, but before it can react, a blur of motion cuts through the air. A flying kick comes crashing into its face. Crack! The impact is so powerful that the fox's teeth nearly shatter. In that very next moment, we realize the truth. Our hero, our Prince Charming, has arrived. Theo has entered the scene, and he is pissed off. Genuinely, unbelievably pissed off. Theo's kick carries so much force that the impact alone causes a powerful shockwave, sending the fox flying backward and slamming it into the ground violently. On the other hand, Mr. Tariq is utterly stunned, unable to process what just happened. But as soon as he sees Theo standing there, something changes. A wave of relief washes over Iona's face. On the other hand, Theo's eyes soften the moment he sees Iona. Theo takes a step forward, stretches his arms out, and places his hand on the barrier, while on the other side, Iona reaches forward and presses her hand against Theo's palm, her voice trembling as she confesses she was terrified. She thought no one would come to save her, but Theo came. Theo came for her. Finally, Theo wraps his arms around Iona, gently lifting her off the ground, and as he lands smoothly, it is at that moment we realize everything that just happened was in slow motion, because the next thing we see is the aftermath of Theo's monstrous kick. The fox that dared to approach Iona is sent flying backward, crashing through the back door with a thunderous impact, breaking straight into the other room. Seeing this, Tariq and the other fox stand frozen in complete disbelief. Who the hell is this man? That was no ordinary fox. That was a level 60 mercenary fox, and Theo just sent it flying like a rag doll. On the other hand, Theo gently moves Iona and the princess to the corner of the room, shielding them. With absolute confidence, Theo tells Iona that she doesn't have to worry anymore, because he is here, and he will handle everything. Meanwhile, Mr. Tariq is still trying to process what is happening. Slowly, he rises from his chair, his face contorted in anger, and he snaps at Theo, demanding if he even knows who he is speaking to. He works for Grid. If Theo values his life, he should turn around and leave. But Theo doesn't give a shit. Not a single damn shit. He completely ignores Mr. Tariq, simply placing his hand on Iona's head, softly telling her that he wants her to feel safe here, and that he wants them to be at peace. Mr. Tariq, now absolutely livid, screams at Theo from behind. Theo stops, turns around, and gives Tariq a death glare. Damn! This was a badass moment. Theo turns around, his gaze sharp like a blade, and with pure ice-cold rage, he tells Mr. Tariq, "Shut up, you damn ugly pig!" His voice echoes through the room. He warns Tariq. If he dares to utter another word, Theo will kill him right here and bury him in the ground. Theo steps forward and stares him down, then asks, "Do you even know who I am? Today, I will tell you the name of the yellow cat. Today, I will do something so unforgettable that you will remember the name Theo for the rest of your life." As he speaks, a smirk slowly spreads across his face. And after this moment, I have officially become Theo's biggest fan. Don't forget to comment below which part was your favorite from this episode. My favorite part was this damn cool moment of Theo, like this video for Theo. I said 8,000 likes earlier. Forget that. We're going for 10,000. See you in the next video. Goodbye.